3, 2, 1. Hello, my name is Patty Taylor, and my report is for History 113, taught by Dr. Gustafson. It is about the Sunnism and the Shi'ism. The Shi'ites is a group of Muslims who regard Allah and his descendants as the only legitimate successor to the Prophet Muhammad. Shi'ism is the version of Islam practiced by the Shi'ites of the many branches of Shi'ism. The two major groups are the Seveners and the Twelvers. Sunnis are those who accept the Sunni and the historical succession of the caliphs as opposed to the Shiites. Sunnis' doctrine and practices are larger of the two major branches of Islam, regarding as legitimate the first four caliphs of Muhammad's death and stressing the importance of the traditional portion of Muslim law. The Islam religion was formed by Muhammad in the 70th century. In 622, he founded the first Islamic state, located in Medina, a city in western Saudi Arabia, located just north of Mecca. The Sunnis make up the majority of the Muslims all over the world. The Shiites represent the second largest denomination of Islam, accounting for around 10 to 30% of the world's overall body of Muslims. The meaning of the Shiite is a follower, which means they are followers of Muhammad. Shiite Islam is based on the Quran and the message of the Islamic prophet Muhammad, attests to Shiite traditions and teaching. The division between the Shiites and the Sunnis date back to the death of the prophet Muhammad and the question of who was to take over the leadership of the Muslim nation. Sunni Muslims agree with the position taken by many of the prophet's comparison, and the new leader should be elected from among the capable of the job. This is what was done, and the Prophet Muhammad's closest friend and advisor became the first caliph of the Islamic nation. The word Sunni is Arabic, and it comes from the word meaning one who follows the traditions of the Prophet. On the other hand, the Shiite Muslims share the belief that leadership should have stayed with the Prophet's own family. Among those specifically appointed by him are among imams appointed by God himself. If the Muslim does not believe in any of the 6 pillars of Iman, then they are not true Muslim. Shiite Muslims believe in the following of the Prophet of Muhammad. Death leadership should have passed directly to his cousin Allah. Throughout history, Shiite Muslims have not recognized the authority of the elected Muslim leaders, choosing instead to follow the line of imams, which they believe have the appointment by the Prophet Muhammad or God himself. Shiite Muslims believe that Islam is sinless by nature and that his authority is infallible, and it comes directly from God. Therefore, Shiite Muslims respect the imams and saints and perform pilgrimages to their tombs and their shrines in the hopes of divine intercession. Sunni Muslims counter that there is no basis for Islam for the hereditary privileges, class of spiritual leaderships, and certainly no basis for honoring of the saints. Sunni Muslims contend that the leadership of the community is not the birthright, but the trust that is earned, in which may be given or taken away by the people themselves. Shiite Muslims also feel animosity towards some of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad, based on their positions and their actions during the early years of discord about leadership in the community. Many of these companions have given a full account of traditions about prophet life and spiritual practice. Shiite Muslims reject these traditions and do not base any of their religious practices on testimony of these individuals. This naturally gives rise to some different in religious life, prayer, fasting, pilgrimage, etc. It is important to remember that despite all these differences in opinion and practice, Shiite and Sunni Muslims share the main articles of Islamic belief and are considered by most to be brethren in faith. In fact, most of the Muslims do not distinguish themselves by claiming membership in any particular group, but prefer to call themselves simply Muslims. Both Sunnis and Shiites believe in God and Allah, and they refer to him in his prophet Muhammad, and each regard the Quran as the exact word of God. In addition, each uphold the obligation to pray, fast, dispense charity, and perform an annual pilgrimage of Muslims. In Iraq, Sunni and Shiite relationships are complicated by the dramatic shift in power, dramatics that have accompanied the removal of the Sunni-dominated Saddam Hussein regime, which ended centuries of Sunni political dominance. Lingering Shiites resent the Sunnis, both fear this shift and help transform local and individual political or economic disputes into border sectarian confrontations in many areas. Both Sunni and Shiite insurgent groups and militaries have conducted attacks on coalitions and Iraq government forces the civilians since 2003. Similar, some Sunnis in the western area have organized themselves to combat predominantly Sunnis insurgent groups, foreign fighters, and Al-Qaeda operative whom they see as being primarily responsible for ongoing violence in their communities. Of major importance for both Sunnis and Shiites is the Muslims. They are expected to live in accordance with the 5 pillars of Islam. Recital of the Creed, there is no God but Allah and Muhammad and his prophets. 5 required prayers a day, giving to the poor, fasting from sunset to sunrise during the month of Ramadan, and making a pilgrimage to Mecca once during their lifetime if one is physical and financially able. Once again, the main difference between Sunni and Shiites is political. However, these political differences spawned a number of varying practices and positions which have come to carry a spiritual significance. One of the most important things that both Sunni and Shiites agree on is the Quran. It is the central religious text of Islam, which Muslims believe to be the verbatim word of God or Allah. They regard it as the finest piece of literature in the Arabic language. Muslims believe that the Quran to be verbally revealed through the angel Gabriel from God to Muhammad, gradually over a period of approximately 23 years when Muhammad was 40 and concluded in 632, the year of his death. Muslims regard the Quran as the main miracle of Muhammad, the proof of his prophethood, and the highest point of a series of divine messages that started with the message revealed to Adam, regarded in Islam as the first prophet. The Quran assumes familiarly with the major narratives recounting the Jewish and Christian scriptures, summarizing some, dwelling at length on others, and in some cases presenting alternative accounts and interruptions of events. The Quran describes itself as a book of guidance, something offered detailed accounts of specific historic events, and often emphasizing the moral significance of an event over its narrative sequence. The Quran is used along to interpret during prayers, and the Quran is only recited in Arabic. One of the key verses in the Quran, which much of the understanding on the issues rests, is the verse, "O believers, obey God and obey the apostle and those who have been given authority among you." This is a verse that both Sunni and Shiites believe in, even if they don't agree totally on where the authority came from. Thank you.